guys, this is Miss Jess from the Quantic Library, and this week we are studying the illustrator Christian Robinson. So this is the book that's going to go with the craft that we have, and you can pick up your craft in the lobby of the library while supplies last. I have a whole bunch of stuff to show you and to teach you about this illustrator. I'm very excited. We have so many books, and let's just jump in and get started. So I'm just going to read you a little bit about him. This is Christian Robinson. This is him at his desk where he works. He's got some of his illustrations up on his wall behind him, and he's got a little flower there. So he's written he's illustrated tons of books, and he's won a lot of awards. One of his most popular books is Last Stop on Market Street. So popular that it's checked out. So I don't have it to show you, but I did make a photocopy. This is Last Stop on Market Street. And in 2016, it won the Caldecott Honoree Award and a Coretta Scott King Honor Award. And this book also was a Newbery Medal Award winner for the author of the book. So I highly recommend this book, and you should check it out when we get it back in. It's constantly being checked out. So, Christian Robinson. Ready? I'm going to show you a whole bunch of his books and tell you a little bit about them. Okay, so this book is called Another, and it's actually one of the only books, I believe it is the only book, that he did by himself. And that's probably because it's just pictures, and he's an illustrator. So no author was needed for this book. It's very beautiful. It's you can really see his style in here. He does a lot of collage work. That means he cuts out different pieces of paper and kind of like layers them on top. He also uses paint, and then he does a little bit of kind of like computer digital fixing at the end. It's a very nice style he has. I also have a book called School's First Day of School, and this was, let's see, New York Times bestseller and received a 7-star review. I didn't know it went up that high. 7 stars, pretty impressive. Leo, a ghost story. This one was named 2015 New York Times bestseller, Children's Book of the Year. That's amazing. Children's Book of the Year? Wow. And this one, a biography about Josephine Baker. And this received lots of awards, including a Cybert Informational Book Award honoree and Coretta Scott King Award Illustrator honoree. And yeah, the list just keeps going. I know. I'll get to the other stuff soon. I'm so excited to show you how awesome this guy is. So this book is Gaston, and it was selected in 2015 for the IRA Teacher's Choices Reading List Award and selected as a 2015 Notable Children's Book for Younger Readers by the ALA, which is the Association for Library Services to Children. Okay, so before I read any books or we do any crafts, I'm going to be leaving a link in the description. And the link will have a video of Christian Robinson reading you his book, You Matter. So I thought that would be a nice little kind of treat. And there's also going to be a link to Matt De La Pena. He's the author of this book, and this is their newest book, and he's going to be reading this book to you. So before we read this one, I just want to point out something. So Carmela Full of Wishes was written by Matt De La Pena, and Christian Robinson was the illustrator. The same thing for this book, the same illustrator and author, and also their most popular book, Last Stop on Market Street. So they enjoyed working with each other so much that they made 3 books together, and I have a feeling they're going to be making many, many more. So, Carmela Full of Wishes, I'll read you a little bit about it. Carmela's birthday couldn't get any better. Today she's finally old enough to go into town with her big brother, and their afternoon together is filled with the magic of their busy neighborhood, from the bright sunshine of the fields to the sugary treats in the window of the Panderia. So when she picks a dandelion growing in the concrete, she wonders what else she could possibly want, and sets out to find the perfect wish. Carmela Full of Wishes. Carmela scootered along the uneven dirt path, watching men stoop to work with their hands, her birthday bracelets jingling and jangling. The thick greenhouse air smelled of marigolds and overturned earth and fresh manure. Carmela knew exactly what manure was, but she didn't want to think about that. Not today. Today, she awoke to candles in her pancakes and her mom sang, "Happy birthday to you," and told her, "Go on, Mika, make a wish." But Carmela's wish had already come true. She was finally old enough to go with her big brother. Carmela followed as he cut back onto the street at Freedom Boulevard, past the crowded bus stop and fenced-off repair shop, past the old folks' home where two hunched old women waved smiles, past the huge home improvement store where her dad used to stand around weekend mornings waiting for work. Carmela tried to make small talk with her brother as their metal cart rattled, but her brother didn't make small talk back. He didn't want her tagging along. "Too bad," she told him with her glare. Just outside the laundromat, she picked a lone dandelion growing among the concrete weeds. She pulled a breath, and she leaned towards the fuzzy white bulb, but just before she could blow, her brother butted in. "Did you even make a wish? You're supposed to make a wish. Everyone knows that." "Of course I made a wish," she told him, but it was a lie. Carmela didn't know. Carmela helped her brother sort colors one-handed, helped him load the washers one item at a time. While their clothes spun, her imagination turned, each new thought ushered in by a jingle of bracelets. Her brother found the sound annoying and shot her a dirty look. "Too bad," she told him with her glare. She jingled her bracelets as she rode up to Miss Maria's vegetable stand, imagining a machine built into her bedroom wall, one that would spit out anything she could think of, but mostly candies. She jingled her bracelets in line at the locksmith's shop, imagining her mom sleeping in one of those fancy hotel beds she spent all day making for fancy guests. She jingled her bracelets at the bodega down the block from their old apartment building, imagining her dad getting his papers fixed so he could finally be home. She jingled her bracelets outside the pharmacy, eyeing the shiny new bikes in the window. Her brother stopped in his tracks. "Why do you have to be so annoying?" She thrummed her bracelets at him and said, "It's a free country." The only time she didn't reach for her bracelets was when her brother ducked into his friend's house. Carmela slumped down on the curb, silently imagining all the things she could turn him into. The slimy pink tail of a rat, a cockroach scurrying away from the light, a wheelbarrow full of manure left in the sun. She stared down at the dandelion in her hand. It seemed so much more important now that she knew it was a place to put her wishes. What if she made the wrong choice? Carmela tried to hop a curb on the long trip home, but her tire caught and her handlebars twisted and she went crashing to the concrete. "Don't cry, don't cry, don't cry." But then she saw her dandelion crushed beside the drain. She looked up at her big brother, warm tears rolling down her cheeks. He lifted up her scooter. "You okay?" She shook her head and pointed. "My wish." He took her by the arm and led her back up the block, past the laundromat and the flea market, past the greenhouses and the smell of manure, past the overgrown park and across the train tracks. He didn't stop until they made it to an abandoned farmhouse near a cliff overlooking the sea. "Close your eyes," he said. Carmela closed them. "Now make your wish," he said. Carmela listened to the ocean's hum in the distance. She listened to the squawking birds. She listened to the wind whistling past her ears. Then she opened her eyes. She saw hundreds of tiny white spores lifting into the air, floating out toward the far-off surf. The sky was full of wishes. "Let's go," her brother said. "Don't you want to know my wish?" she asked. He shook his head. "If you tell it, it won't come true." She looked back one last time, then took off her bracelets and followed her brother home. The end. And that was Carmela, Full of Wishes. That was a really nice story. And once again, it has that kind of collage feel to it. So there's some pictures that are cut out and layered. And also, this one looks like it was just cut out. And then you can kind of see that it was like an orange paper and the little shapes were cut out. So that's kind of like his style. So now, if you remember, if you paid attention to the book, Carmela has a flower called a dandelion. And I don't know if you've seen them before, but they're like big white puffy flowers. And if you blow on them, all the little seeds go flying in the air and you're supposed to make a wish. Let me make sure I get all the stuff out that I need here. I don't think there's a lot of stuff, so make sure I got it all out. Okay. Oops. So you should have the leaves, the stem, and the flower. Now for this craft, you're going to need scissors and glue. Okay, so this is going to be good for your scissor skills. So using the scissor, we're going to cut on the lines. Now you're not going to cut all the way across, you're just going to cut the lines. So if I'm cutting on the line from the outside to the inside, see, I stop where that line stops. So you're going to do that all the way around. And this is really good for your scissor skills. And go all the way around. And this is kind of like those little fuzzy seeds. So after we do the cutting, we're going to kind of bend them a little bit back and forth to kind of give it a little bit of like a 3-dimension type thing. Have you ever found one of those flowers before? Actually, people call them weeds. Probably because they grow everywhere. And when you blow those little flowers, the seeds get everywhere and then the weeds spread. So some people get a little bit upset about that, but I think they're beautiful. I love them and I call them flowers. And around we go. And there we are. So you can see that I cut all the lines there. Very nice. Now we're going to glue them onto the stem. So I would take the stem and glue it onto the back, just like that. Or maybe we should glue it that way. Yeah, let's glue it that way, so that way all the lines, you can't really see them. So let's glue it on to the side. We've kind of got all of the lines. So it'll look prettier. Woo. Okay, so I glued it on the back there so that the front looks all nice. And then of course, put the little leaves. So I'm gonna put those on there. Just put some glue on the bottom and put one there. And maybe a little bit more on the top. Put that one there. Okay, so that's the flower. And then what you wanna do is kind of bend some of these up a little bit. Doesn't have to be every other one, just, you know, every few. You can pop them up. And that'll give you kind of like a 3D flower effect. There you are. Voila. Ooh, voila. And then you can practice your wish making. Just give that a little blow and you make your wish. And that's the craft for this week. So I'm gonna put my glue away. Make sure you put your scissors in a safe spot. And if you want that craft, you can go to the lobby and pick it up while supplies last. Remember, Christian Robinson, if you'd like to see a video of him reading You Matter, which is this book here, I will give you a link for that. And I also have a link for their newest book that they did together, Milo Imagines the World. Really nice book, great illustrations. And that will be read by Matt Della Pena in the video that I give you, the link. So I hope you enjoyed reading together and doing the craft. And I hope you come visit me at the library really, really soon. Bye, guys.